Welcome into Analyzing Attitude episode 11. It's the second Raw of 1998. It's the go-home show for the 1998 Royal Rumble. After last week's action, can Stone Cold Steve Austin survive the night and even make it to the Royal Rumble? We have a massive announcement about Mike Tyson. Hey, and did Shawn Michaels make it out of that casket alive last week? Find out all that and more as we analyze Raw is War from January 12th, 1998. Welcome into the 11th episode of Analyzing Attitude. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get into our drawing to win a PlayStation 5. As soon as we make it to 1,000 followers and likes on YouTube, we're going to give away a free PlayStation 5 to any one of our first 1,000 followers. We have a little bit of a race to 150. Mike, do you want to tell the folks what's going to happen once we get to 150 subscribers? As long as we get there by next Wednesday on August 6th for the live watch of the Royal Rumble.
And we can even up the ante, and you have during the live show to get there too. And if we can get 150 subscribers, especially during the show, I will shave my luscious locks here. And it's kind of sad to see it go because I told myself I'm getting up there in age. This is the last time I'm probably gonna
the Kurt Angle approach. The Kurt Angle approach. Yeah.
Hey, we at the end of the Royal Rumble, we could be looking like twins here, Jimmy.
Tell you what, buddy, if you shave your head, I'll shave mine. How's that sound?
Deal.
Let's dive into it. It's the 12th of January, 1998. And it's crazy to think about this, Mike. Last Thursday in 1998, WCW just launched Thunder on TBS on Thursday nights. We don't get WWE's second show, SmackDown, for another 15 months after this. Thunder debuts January 8th, 1998. SmackDown doesn't debut until April 29th, 1999. And the fact that WCW is just all in on Turner's broadcast team is all in on wrestling program. It's the number one show on Monday nights. And we find out in this episode that Monday Night Raw is the number one wrestling show in the world. But right now in this day and age, WCW is still dominating the Monday Night Wars. And they've launched a second show, which according to Eric Bischoff ends up being a little bit of their downfall. But Thunder just launched 2 weeks after the debacle that was Starrcade 97.
Yep. And you can't fault them for going for it. They're still doing big business, regardless of the Starrcade blunder that it was. But you got to do what you can. There's more supply, there's more demand. So let's get Thunder out there. And just like as we see come to 99, Vince has that itch too to make our second show in SmackDown, which pays off way more than it does for Eric Bischoff and Thunder.
Yeah, and we opened to this episode of Raw with another cold open. We did it last week with Stone Cold Steve Austin, with him coming in and letting everybody know that they're on notice. This week, DX opens it up, which I thought was a little weird because we ended last Monday with Shawn Michaels being drugged into a casket by The Undertaker. And here he is just perfectly fine in a limousine with Hunter and China and just chumming it up. It just kind of felt like an untied loose end that just kind of didn't really kill off The Undertaker, but made it just seem like less of a threat after what happened last week.
I even expected like a smart ass comment from Shawn on how he got out. They
doesn't even address it.
Nope, not at all. And the whole segment was just kind of like chaotic. Like I don't know if they went over what they were going to say or not because it just didn't. It just seemed really messy. Whereas last week Stone Cold's was straight to the point
and very
got the fans ready to go. Whereas this one was kind of like. All right.
Yeah, as we mentioned, DX is in a limousine, and Shawn doesn't address The Undertaker, who assaulted him and threw him in a casket last week. He addresses Owen Hart. He says if Owen Hart sticks his nose in DX's business, it'll be the last mistake he makes. And Hunter then addresses The Undertaker that Shawn Michaels has an announcement for The Undertaker and The Undertaker's family. And we mentioned this last week. And Shawn also said he's going to let him know he's a loser. And does the L on the forehead here. And we're still taking pop shots at the channel across the way because Hunter takes a shot at Ric Flair here by trying to do the woo because, my stomach. And Ric Flair just had appendicitis just a few weeks before this. And he tells Shawn to do the thing that he always says. And Sean says, "You mean that I'm the best there is, the best there was, the best?" Hunter cuts him off, says, "No, not that, not old, that old thing." He goes, which is really interesting that we take those shots at Bret Hart and Ric Flair because they're feuding on the other channel right now too. So it's almost like, hey, we know what's going on over there. I don't know if it's the best idea to be, it kind of fueling the fire of what they have going on the other show.
Kind of a free plug for WCW. And it was weird knowing that Sean and Triple H are big Ric Flair guys and still taking a pot shot at him. We understand the Bret Hart thing, and that ain't going anyway.
Yeah, not the biggest Bret Hart fans.
No. And those Bret Hart pot shots don't end for about 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, if not longer.
Yeah.
But Sean goes on to say that I'm the icon, and then the showstopper, and then Triple H finishes it with the main event. Hunter announces they're on their way to State College, PA, the home of Penn State University, where tonight's show is. And there's a big theme around Penn State throughout all this. We get a promo inside Beaver Stadium, which is the home of Penn State football. There's a Penn State football helmet on the desk, which comes into play later. They really, really made it a big point to emphasize that they're at State College, talk about Joe Paterno, who was bigger than anything in college football at this point, and just really hone in on the city that they're in, which felt really unique because we didn't really do that in any other city. I thought that was really interesting.
No, since we've been doing this, they haven't really played to it. And, for all the fellows out there, we do get a Penn State cheerleader uniform later.
We sure do. That's not the only upskirt shot we get, though. Sean jumps through the moonroof in the limo and drops his pants and says that there's going to be a full moon tonight. We almost get a full shot of Sean's boy toy here as well as he's coming back down before the sirens hit, and we get to the actual warm open of the show with the sirens and Stone Cold Steve Austin walking through the flames.
For sure.
This is actually the 5th anniversary. We just talked about the debut of the looming SmackDown show. This is the 5th anniversary of Monday Night Raw on the U.S. Network, and we open it up proper with Michael Cole, Kevin Kelly, and Jim Ross to open the show. As I mentioned, they are at State College, Pennsylvania, with a Nittany Lions helmet on the commentator's desk. And they mentioned we're going to have a live drawing for all the numbers of the Royal Rumble later in the show. And this ended up being kind of a staple throughout the next 10 to 15 years. And they clearly learned what not to do by the end of this episode.
Yes, the tumbler, just showing it does a lot for the Rumble. But yeah, what we ended up getting the finished product with tonight, we learned in later years they had a better use of the tumbler and just keeping it backstage and just sparingly. So, but we're off to the races here on the Go Home show.
We also find out within the first 5 minutes of the show, Mike Tyson is going to be at the Royal Rumble, which is huge news because everything that's indicated up to this, including the interview last week with Don King, we don't exactly have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. We don't know what Mike Tyson's involvement at WrestleMania is going to be, even if it's for sure, which we find out later in the show. It's still not 100% for sure, but he's going to be at the Royal Rumble for sure on Sunday. Will he be involved? Will he be up in the skybox? Will he be at the commentator's desk? We're not sure, but we find out with Vince McMahon some more information later in the show as well.
And I think it's a smart piece of business they're doing. They're not explaining why or what he's doing. They just pretty much keep telling us, tune in, especially for Rumble, their second biggest show of the year, debatably SummerSlam, yada, yada, yada. But
no, it's just the biggest party of the summer.
Right. That's right. And then also playing up to next week, because after the Rumble, you got to start getting those Mania stories going. So they're doing smart by just teasing Mike Tyson here and there, and having him at the Royal Rumble is huge for WWF.
Yeah, we just got our first look at the WrestleMania 14 logo last week. We're still 11 weeks away here, but we kind of get back to same old, because we opened the show up with a 4 corners match, which I thought was really interesting because we know the Legion of Doom are going to challenge the Outlaws at the Royal Rumble. This match is technically for the championship. We've got 3 other contenders with the Truth Commission and the Godwins and the Headbangers already in the ring to start Monday Night Raw. But here comes the New Age Outlaws, and I thought this was another unique way. Yeah, it kind of poo-poos everybody else in the ring, although everybody outside of the Headbangers have kind of done that to themselves already anyway.
Yep.
But it sets up that, hey, we have these other tag teams. The ones with the belts on them, we're going to make a really big deal out of it, even though they've already made a pretty big deal out of themselves.
Very, very well said, because when you just get one participant's entrance, it just shows you that they're the real deal. that we're dealing with. And actually, I'm not going to poo-poo on the Truth Commission and the Godwins so much this go around, because this was effective for the Outlaws going into their tag title match at the pay-per-view. So beating 3 teams, spoiler alert, is a pretty good notch for the Outlaws going
into. You mean the Truth Commission doesn't win this?
oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, that they had the surprise roll up, the deadliest move of all time.
The Outlaws come out and they're wearing Florida Gator gear because, of course, they are. We're 11 days removed from Steve Spurrier and Florida beating Penn State in the Citrus Bowl in 1998. We gotta make sure that the Outlaws are bad guys here. Best way to do that is to come out and get them to talk trash about fill in the blank team from this city here. And listen, it did work. They got a huge reaction to the jerseys when they came out.
And I honestly think it always works. They've done it so many times throughout the years. You know,
it's the same reason that finally The Rock has come back to wherever we are tonight. It's the same reason that works every time too.
Exactly. So got to get the cheap heat where you can, and Outlaws are still smoking guns here.
They sure are. They get jumped right away when they get into the ring, and Henry Godwin comes in and drops Thrasher. And Michael Cole tells us this is not an elimination match, so the first team to score a submission or pinfall here, no disqualifications, is walking out with the WWF Tag Team Championships 1 week, 6 days before they're supposed to be defended against the most legendary tag team at this time of all time.
That was the only thing that I had against it, was like, why would you have a 4 corners tag match right before a big title match? But I mean, at the same time, everyone, even probably the kids, are smart enough to know that, well, are we going to have Truth Commission versus the Road Warriors at the Royal Rumble? No.
Let's hope not. We get some back and forth action from the other 3 teams because the Outlaws don't get tagged in. The other teams are actively avoiding tagging the Outlaws into this matchup. But Billy gets in eventually, and Henry goes for a slop drop on him. Road Dogg makes the save. While that's happening, Billy Gunn puts some brass knuckles on, knocks out Phineas, and the Outlaws actually get the pinfall. What bothered me here was nobody attempted to break up the pin. We know this is not an elimination match.
They're all around.
And nobody jumps in to make the save. I didn't understand that.
It's poor, I don't know, psychology of a multi-tag match. And it did what it needed to do. But, yeah, made the jobbers look even stupider than they usually do.
And we find out at the Royal Rumble, but legitimately Animal is dealing with a slipped disc in his back here, which is why the LOD has been off of television up until this point. But we know he's going to give it a go. We don't know for sure if he's going to be there, but we're 6 days away from the pay-per-view, and LOD's taking on the champs, and they're not even here in the building for this event. I just didn't understand that.
I think what they were going for was trying to get the sell job down on how bad DX and the Outlaws put him down, a month or so ago. And I mean, I was actually kind of wondering if Animal got a little bit of a stinger on that table bump, because when they went to
he landed on one of the monitors. Legitimately, yeah.
I think it was Billy and Sean that had his arms.
Yep.
And Sean, I think, jumped first and higher, and it just looked kind of, awkward landing for him.
Like, hindsight taken out of it, the other thing that I had a problem with all of this about is we're trying to promote Kurrgan as this monster and that he's this unstoppable force. He has the possibility of winning the Royal Rumble because he's a legit 7-foot tall killer, and his guys are out to compete for the tag team championships, and it's just an opportunity to put him on TV, and he's nowhere to be seen.
And honestly, I mean, that was the kind of the dilemma they had, was you're not taking the tag titles off of you're not taking them off the Outlaws, but why not have him be the opposing force that maybe
just stand there?
Yeah,
just put him out there
that they may have a shot at it, or like contenders down the road. It's only serving Kurrgan, which not really, but I don't know.
Might as well try, right?
Yeah, why not? Do what you can, because what you're doing ain't working.
We go to commercial break to the Outlaws leaving the rampway with the championships. We come back from commercial with a reminder that there's a camera out front expecting DX to arrive in the limo that we saw them in to open the show. We have a camera pointed outside, but we don't get DX. Stone Cold Steve Austin pulls up in his black pickup truck. with a skull on the front of the hood. He almost runs over the cameraman. And during the commercial break, he's taken out the Godwins and pushed over Briscoe during the break. Austin's now driving his truck into the arena, and his tailgate says 100% pure whoop ass on the back of it. And there's a live drawing happening at the Royal Rumble, not on our rewatch, but in real time in 1998 to win this truck, which I thought was really cool. And I thought it was really cool the effort they put in to make it look good as well.
Yeah, and like that truck's been a focal point over the last month and a half. And one last time before it gets shipped off to a lucky fan, they want to advertise it one more time. Like, look what you can be going home with. Just enter our draft or raffle.
We get a really weird view of Stone Cold Steve Austin walking to the ring, which I thought was really cool. It was a really high up camera that just overlooked the entire arena, and it was just a unique visual. I thought it was very cool looking. They do a couple of different angles for camera shots here that we don't necessarily see a whole lot, even in this era and specifically today. But I really like the way, because we talked about this in the first few episodes, we haven't had a whole lot of snafus with technical issues or mistimed music. We do tonight. We'll get to that in a minute. But I really liked how Kevin Dunn and his team were experimenting with certain things and kind of taking chances here just to see how they can make it look different, but way before HD even shows up.
Absolutely. And the way they did it with Austin, it's a perfect way to pan that out and show the crowd reaction and seeing that one figure that's making all these people go crazy, which I be remiss if I didn't mention. Penn State crowd on this episode was
pretty damn good.
They were going nuts in the damn tag match, which wasn't much to be desired.
We get the weird angle, but JR reminds us as Stone Cold's walking to the ring about the truck, and Michael Cole is in the ring waiting for him. And Cole says Austin is carrying over from what he started last week with and which is before we get to what Austin responds with. That's all the more reason why it was so frustrating about Shawn being in the limousine, not even addressing The Undertaker, because we're honing in so much about what Stone Cold Steve Austin did last week on this episode. We don't even address what happened to the WWF champion to end the show last week.
And it's poor on their end, just booking or trying to tell that story. But at the same time, Stone Cold is all anybody wants in that crowd. So, I mean, we're doing what we can, but I guess not in that way with Shawn, because they should be promoting the crap out of that match. And
it's The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in a casket match, and it's the trilogy. Like, we're not even talking about it. It just doesn't make sense. There's no point in not promoting it.
No, not at all.
Like I said, Cole says Austin's starting off where he left off last week. Stone Cold says, "You're damn right. Last year, Stone Cold won the Royal Rumble and fair and square. The WWF pulled the carpet from underneath him. Obviously, Austin accidentally eliminated himself and then got back in, but on a technicality was allowed to continue. Yada yada yada." Austin says that Vince McMahon may have bought this ring, but if you put your ass in it, Stone Cold's going to throw your ass out of it. Michael Cole says that Austin's a marked man. And Stone Cold said he's not that hard to find, and asks if Cole has a pen, so naturally he does. He draws a big target on his chest, and he said he's not accepting BS from the WWF brass. He said Michael Cole says he's a marked man. Austin says Cole is full of crap. Come find him. He's not too hard to find. Austin heads to the back with that bullseye drawn on his chest, and he's wearing it like a badge of honor.
Oh, I really thought this segment was a badass. Like,
yeah, I'm not afraid of anybody.
Oh my God. Like, how much of a statement can you make? Like, just ripped it, like, go. And like, he's in Stone Cold mode. And like, I would assume it's really hard for him just to shut it off at that point in his normal life, because it's on all cylinders here. And Jimmy, like, I know hindsight's 2020 and we know what happens, but is there even really a chance of anybody else winning this Rumble?
No, not at all. Like, I was thinking about this, and I was gonna get this a little bit. And I forgot to mention this. We're gonna wrap up the show with our thoughts on the passing of Hulk Hogan. This is our first show since the legendary Hulkster has passed on. Mm-hmm. But Jim Ross has his 900 number going at this time. And there was legitimate talks at this point. This is just a few weeks removed from Starrcade 97. Hulk Hogan's contract actually ends the night before the Royal Rumble in real time. Could you imagine if number 30 in this Royal Rumble is Hulk Hogan and it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock in 1998 with Hulk Hogan coming down to the ramp to finish this match?
and winner faces either Shawn or Undertaker. Like, look at just the names that alone. And if they did do that, like, God, if there's anybody as big as Stone Cold right now, it is Hogan because of his regenerated character.
Way past his prime too.
For
Man.
sure.
Like, think about here's the other thing that we don't talk about enough, and I hate piling on Hulk in the time that we lost him, but like, say all you want about the finish of Hogan Sting because they obviously screwed it up, and talk politics all you want. We'll take that out of the equation. It was still just another Hulk Hogan match, and that was kind of the other problem at the time, because you have like this Shawn Michaels finishes the match against The Undertaker with a broken back and does it at a 10 times athletic rate than the main event of Starrcade 97. And it's really no slight to Sting or Hogan. They were just both way past their prime, where you get Shawn Michaels, who was the best to ever do it in his prime, and he could still do it with a broken back. And that's really, like, we talk about the work rate, and obviously there's a lot of reasons WCW failed, but the real reason that WWF starts winning is they started the generation, they doubled down on the athleticism, and they found a bunch of hungry lions to come out and kind of continue waving the banner for the Fed.
For sure. And Hogan and all those guys going to WCW opened the door for everyone. Like,
it was probably addition by subtraction, which is incredible to say about Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage.
And like all those guys, I've heard Shawn and Brett talk about it to so much extent. Like, we know that we're the guys that can give more quality matches. We just need the screen time to show our characters off. And yeah, I mean, are you going to have a character as big as Hogan ever? Maybe with a few rare exceptions, probably count on one hand.
And you got two of them right now getting hot at the right time, which is incredible. But I want to talk about that for a second, because we don't spend a lot of time talking about the modern day product. But one of the common things throughout CM Punk's run and the end of John Cena's, the beginning of Roman Reigns, was who's going to grab the brass ring. And I think about that a lot, to the sense of, you get the chance at this point where your biggest star that you had at the time, Bret Hart, left. The guy that built the company up in the 80s is gone.
Yes.
You had Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock to have the ability to grab the brass ring in this moment, because all of those guys had left and you didn't have anybody else, and you needed somebody to do it. Like Cena was able to at the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era, because Rock went off to Hollywood, because Austin got hurt and was gone. And it's almost, like when the torch got passed to Roman, he didn't really get the chance to do it, because there was so, like, even to today, I mean, The Undertaker was just on NXT last week, which is a horrible idea, by the way. And I'm going to throw this out there. Like, I've been watching Taker's podcast since him and Michelle McCool have been doing it. And like, he's made comments like he's joking about going back to work. And like he just interviewed Shawn Michaels, and spoiler for anybody that watches Taker's podcast. He legitimately was like, we need to redo that match in Saudi Arabia because of how bad it was. And he was serious. Like, he would say he was joking. He was dead serious. And Shawn was like, listen, I've had so many great ones. If I got one bad one, I can live with it. I have no interest in doing that. Yeah. I'm legitimately concerned about Mark Calloway's ability to move on in life.
Chasing that dragon.
From The Undertaker. Absolutely. And like, talk about part-timers all you want, and I think there's a serious problem with that, especially in WWE's product today. But the reason that the tribal chief became the character it was and is because there wasn't anybody around to kind of put the glass ceiling. Nobody's ever going to put the glass ceiling over Roman Reigns, but to hold it back. And the guys like Brock Lesnar that he worked with that were part-timers are just such a one-on-one freak athlete that it doesn't really tamper expectations for that match, right?
Oh, I 100%, because like back then, like Hogan or whoever, Savage, Piper at the time doing part-time business,
just so limited athletically.
And so that's what Brock at least trained as much as he could, and just a freak
and he's probably just the greatest athlete of all time.
And honestly speaking, I've loved the way they built Roman, just being the, like, anytime he's gone for 5 months or whatever, that music hits, you got a Stone Cold Roman Hogan S star, Cena to some extent, but back then though, they were just so limited on what they could do, and we are on the rise of seeing these big names that we will talk about, way down the line here on them being the special attraction and being so much more than maybe some of their predecessors.
Back to 1998 we go then. DX's limo pulls up outside of the arena. Before we go to break, we get the reminder that we're going to hear about Mike Tyson only, not only at WrestleMania, but possibly at the Royal Rumble later in this event from Vince McMahon. And we come back to the limo, and they're kind of stuck. There's a truck that looks like a ring crew truck blocking the entrance to the building. And Sean and China go to find who's driving the truck, because obviously Hunter's still on crutches.
Mm-hmm.
And we go to the arena, and we just talked about him. Kurrgan is out, despite the Truth Commission literally just being in the main in the match prior to this one. Here he is. He's in a 2-on-1 handicap match. The Jackal is out with his monster, and we've kind of talked about this. He has the gem on his forehead, and he keeps passing it off to audience members, and he's done it to like underage females at this point, and he kind of gave it to like a 13-year-old kid in the crowd this time. So it was like, okay, maybe he's doing this on purpose, and it's not as creepy as it originally looked. But I love when Kurrgan's coming out, because we're trying to put the claw over, right?
Yes.
And he's walking out with his paw open, and he's got the tips of his claw hand all taped just to show you the threat that this guy can hit this move at any time, and it's going to be this is what you need to be looking for. And when you see this, it's something special. I thought it was a great build.
Yeah, I like the little touch with the tape, because, and we really never saw it since. Like I know we have a lot of great Khali fans, but when he was doing that vice grip, that would have been a little extra something to put like on there, because we all know everyone does the tape, to make it a little bit more rough on the opponent. So it was a nice touch, and I know they're trying here with Kurrgan, and usually enhancement matches, at least we're going to get a good, like, oh, he just killed him moment. And this one, I don't know. Maybe the wrong jobbers.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, it's actually not the only time we see these guys. They appear on WWE TV 3 more times throughout the 90s. And Lance Diamond actually shows up 2 more times after that in individual events. But this is their only appearance on Raw. They actually were on Shotgun Saturday Night 3 other times. So seasoned veterans, Lance Diamond has done like 6 other different like major independent shows. They both did work in ECW as well.
Okay.
But for the 3rd week in a row, Jackal hands out his jewel, like I said, and not only does he do that, but he comes over and grabs the commentator's booth, which he didn't do last week.
Mm-hmm.
But when we talk about giving Don Callis the ability to speak, they seem like they want to at times, and they pull it away at times too. So it doesn't really make sense, like what we're trying to do with the Jackal, because he keeps talking about if Kurrgan wins the WWF Championship after winning the Royal Rumble, he's going to have power over the WWF, and he'll have Vince McMahon's spot. And I don't know if you know this, it's not exactly how the WWF Championship works. It's very, very confusing.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Vince sees little snippets of what he likes, and it's like, okay, we'll do a little bit more of that, and then does a little bit more, doesn't like it, pulls it back in. And the same really could be said with Kurrgan. Vince and his big guys, he sees them, he's hot on them, and then does one thing that doesn't like, and back to the drawing board.
Cicero and Diamond jump Kurrgan to start the match, and Jackal tells us he's going to give us intellectual intercourse on the microphone, which I thought was kind of funny.
I was wondering what they said. I heard intercourse. Yeah, and I was like, what?
But Kurrgan gets his power moves in. He locks in the claw on Diamond. We get told that this is an elimination style match, but Kurrgan pins Diamond, and they hit his music by accident. Kevin Kelly even tells us it's over. But he's supposed to beat both guys. So Kurrgan hits this ridiculously looking suplex, which I hope he never does in the rest of his career, because it looked awful. But he pulls Diamond on top of Cicero, covers him with 1 foot, makes an X with his hands, and it's exactly 3 minutes. So I don't know if they were told to go out there and do this in 3 minutes, but Kurrgan can certainly get a bonus if he hit his time frame. Kevin Kelly asked Jackal what his plans are if Kurrgan wins the Royal Rumble. And Jackal says he'll have the power he wants, and he what a visual would be to have Kurrgan have his hands on the WWF Championship. And he tells Kurrgan to come down to the announce table. He mentioned at the beginning there was the Penn State football helmet on the table, and Kurrgan rips the helmet in half with his bare hands. I thought this looked incredible. Kurrgan has been really lame up until this point, to my opinion, the point I was making a minute ago. This looked great. And Kurrgan looks like at the commentators, and Jackal slaps him like he's been doing and redirects Kurrgan back up the ramp. But we've just talked about him being a monster and letting his size do the talking. I thought this was a great visual and a great way to get him over.
Very effective. In the, pulling that helmet apart like that, just showing off his freak strength abilities is awesome. But why didn't we have a better showing of that in the match he was just in against two guys?
I think it was a lot due to his limitation. Like I mentioned with the suplex, it just didn't look great. And I also think it's, listen, I wouldn't have had to go 3 minutes. I'd have had to go a minute. I wouldn't let the other guys get any of the stuff in. I just had to come out and do a double claw, put them down, and end it. I think that would have done. You have TV time to fill too, obviously, but I think that would have been way more effective than what actually happened.
Basically the same thing. The only thing I was going to say, if you want to add them just running at them at first and just two big boots, and then take them both out. But Giant EC3 is he's on his way, I guess. He'll be all right in this business, kid.
we cut back to the back, and Sean and China have now found the guy that's driving the truck. But while they're doing so, Owen Hart hops on the top of the limo, crawls inside, pops out of nowhere, and slides through the moonroof that we saw Sean mooning people out of in the cold open. China tried to get to him. We get a cut of the camera inside. Did you catch this? They cut to the camera inside the limo. And Sean and China are in the limo, but are still supposed to be on the outside. So a bad editing job here by the editing team at WWF. But China and Sean clearly find their way into the limo, and the limo goes speeding off with all four of them, Owen Hart included, back away from the building while they're all brawling. We get back. We go to break and come back with Michael Cole reminding us that there's a camera set up outside just in case DX comes back. So to keep an eye on this footage for later in the night. But I thought this was a really cool, let's try to keep them hooked and coming back to kind of get some finality on this moment. But my thought process was, if China and Sean were going to look for the guy and they were gone for that long, why didn't Owen just jump in sooner? Right?
He knew they were there. He probably had the truck placed there.
Didn't make a whole lot of sense. Very bad timing.
I have two praises in this segment, though. One for the commentary team, because you couldn't tell that was Owen. At least I don't think.
Yeah, you could have. Listen, high definition is not a thing in 1998.
But the other thing is Owen's cat-like reflexes. We talk about Michael Myers being compared to Kane. In the original Halloween, at the very beginning, when they're at the insane asylum and Michael jumps on the top and just like scurries, that's what I reminded me of Owen Hart.
But I think this is a really good look into like how athletic some of these dudes actually are, because that was like incredible. The way he scaled the limousine was amazing,
and he just crawled so fast. It did look like a maniac that wanted to just kill somebody.
We go back into the arena, and Marvelous Mark Marrow is on his way to the ring, and Jim Ross tells us, I don't know why Jim Ross has so much insight into Mark Marrow's personal life, but he seems to he knew that Sable was wearing the Santa outfit. He knew about what happened 2 weeks ago as well. But Jim Ross tells us that Mark Marrow has had a change of heart as far as Sable's concerned, and Marrow starts to talk. And we just talked about the mishap with Kurrgan. Marrow starts talking, and his mic's not working. So he's trying to introduce Sable, and Jim Ross cues up the entrance for the music. Sable's music hits with a brand new Titantron as well, and out comes Sable Dust. It is Goldust in full drag, dressed as Sable. And listen, Dustin Runnels is in full lingerie here and comes out with a thong to boot. I just did like.
Yeah, that see-through robe didn't cover much.
It was a sight to behold, I guess, is one way to put it.
I'll just say I was rewatching this episode, and I was sitting by myself, and my fiance said, "Hey, what do you want to eat?" And I'm like, nothing.
Not much, yeah.
But I mean, God bless Goldust.
Yeah,
God bless Goldust.
He was all in for the gimmick, brother. But they introduce Vader, and Vader comes out and poses in front of the live draw box for the Rumble, which we find out all three of these guys, Marrow, Sable Dust, and Vader, all involved in the 30-man over the top battle royal. But we also get Goldust and Goldust and Vader one-on-one at the Rumble as well. And the match gets underway. Some back and forth boxing. Vader hits the ropes. Sable Dust trips him up and Tim White gets distracted. Mark Mero hits him with what looks like the most legit low blow I have ever seen, and I think the agony that Vader lets out indicates that he might have hit Mastodon on his way as well. But out comes the real Sable to a massive pop, and she confronts Sable Dust on the outside, who shoves the real Sable, which I thought was a little risky. But Sable throws maybe the worst looking kick in the history of wrestling. And so here's the little seeds that are being planted. We're probably going to get Sable in the ring at some point.
And you might as well, because other than Stone Cold, I don't think there's anybody getting bigger reactions than Sable.
Including Sonny, by the way.
Oh, and we'll get into that later, too. But yeah, Sable's lucky she has her assets, because she's not really good athletically. She's not good on the mic. But she has the it factor, if you know what I mean. So
and those its were out tonight in that outfit, by the way. Mero gets out of the ring and tells Sable to get to the back. So Mero's so distracted with Sable that he forgot to turn around at the point that Vader had to come up and pat him on the back to get him to turn around, which I thought was a really bad miscue by Leon White, but neither here nor there. But turns around and Vader at the point has to back up and then deliver the clothesline that he was supposed to do on the inside. So this poor cameraman who's just sitting there trying to do his job awkwardly gets shot on camera trying to sit out of the way and barely misses Mark Mero, barely misses landing on top of him. We get, and this is, and you can hear this clear as day on Netflix, but there's some homophobic slurs being thrown at Goldust in this era. Oh, and this is clearly from some fans that haven't hit puberty yet. If you want to go back and listen to it, their octaves are hitting at a high roll. But Vader rolls the Marvelous One back into the ring. Vader splashes Mero in the corner and signals that he's going to go for the Vader bomb. He hits it. Goldust gets into the ring and pulls a coconut out of his bra that he had on, which is a sentence in its own right. But he breaks it over. He breaks it over Vader's head. We get a disqualification. Goldust pulls Mero out of the ring, wrapping his arms around him to console him like he's actually Sable. So maybe this is a team now. Like I didn't understand what else this could be unless we're teasing that Mark Mero could be partnering up with Goldust here. But Goldust even gets some more homophobic slurs on his way up the ramp. Yep. And it's just an indication of how different times are in 1998 versus 2025. Because if this character is happening in 2025, there'd be people in the crowd like, good for you, man. Live your truth.
For sure. The new Truth Commission.
Yeah.
But that's another reason, like, God bless Goldust, because, the 90s, there's people that, like, want to kill him for what he's doing. Like, they're so hateful.
I mean, listen, he was getting a ton of hate from Scott Hall.
Yeah.
He was working with him. You know what I mean?
For sure. Like, and it's risky to do. And the only thing with that coconut thing, it wasn't no Piper Snuka. Those were pretty not smooth shots.
No, and like it didn't exactly break the first time either.
No.
Which obviously doesn't make it any easier.
And Leon White's got a thick head anyway, so yeah. I mean that had to have
probably didn't need to gimmick it. Yeah. We cut to the back, and the DX limo is pulling back up, and Sean gets out limping. Hunter and China get out the other side. No Owen Hart, and we're teasing that Owen has been basically left for dead somewhere, and we're DX is back, and even though Sean's limping a little bit, they look perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I mean, we get some answers eventually, but I felt like they could have done so much more with that. Like,
agreed.
Like, I think like maybe even, I don't know, driving back with him, like maybe like half like hanging out the window, just knocked out, unconscious,
or maybe something. Just like dragging his body out of the limo or something. For sure.
All we end up getting is kind of like a popcorn fart for a pretty intense segment that we just witnessed a few minutes ago.
We get a reminder of the stuff that Bam Bam Bigelow did with Lawrence Taylor, and the shot of Lawrence Taylor shoving Bam Bam Bigelow and Bam Bam Bigelow pushing him back down to a seat, which set up Bam Bam versus LT. So it's this tease that, hey, last time we had a celebrity involved at the Royal Rumble, we got a main event between them at WrestleMania. Now we have Mike Tyson. Who could he possibly get in the ring with? And Jim Ross says as much. He says, we don't know if Mike Tyson will be at the Royal Rumble, but if he is, someone is going to challenge the baddest man on the planet. And then Jim Ross goes, wait a minute. We have something going on backstage. Stone Cold Steve Austin has just attacked the aforementioned Vader, and some more of what we sprinkled in last week. Someone is crazy enough to challenge Mike Tyson. Look how crazy this guy is.
Vader's not having a good night. Bad coconut shots. Got tripped by a 6'4" guy in Sable outfit. Not a good night for Vader, but it is the good looming factor that Steve Austin's afoot and he ain't giving a shit right now.
And it's we always, like, leading up to this, anything could happen in the World Wrestling Federation, right? They tell us that all the time. With this guy, it legitimately felt like that. Like, Austin is just attacking everybody and anybody at any point, and he did it throughout the entire episode last week. He's picking up right where he left off.
Which is why it's perfect for this time frame on trying to get back on track with trying to overtake the dynasty that is the wrestling industry. But unpredictable chaos sells, and there's nobody that defined that more than Stone Cold. So let him run wild. Let him, that's why people are tuning in. It's like, what's going to happen? Like, anytime, as we see later on as well.
Yeah, and we get the Nation of Domination versus Mark Henry next, and it's a long-term storytelling feud here. We've had Ken Shamrock face every member of the Nation of Domination. Here comes The Rock, here comes D'Lo, and here comes Kama. No Farouk, still no Intercontinental Champion no Intercontinental title belt for the champ. And we learned that Mark Henry beat D'Lo on Shotgun Saturday night just a few nights ago. But the Nation jumped him, and then Ken Shamrock ran down to get the save, which is why we have this kind of strange bedfellow tag team. Easy for me to say, but it was kind of a cool combination of World's Strongest Man, World's Dangerous Man. I thought they could have had something here if it doesn't take the turn it does.
I really thought, because I knew what happened. I just couldn't remember if it happened at the Rumble or not. But I agree, like, that's something. Maybe not long term, but build it up a little bit for when you do have the turn that we have. It would have been more, because Mark hasn't really been on TV much. So
he's had one match before this. It was the Brooklyn Brawler match, the D'Lo match, and the Jerry Lawler match. So this is match number 3 in totality for him in WWF at the time. But we get more adolescents in the crowd with a group of young men that have a sign that says Nation of Defecation.
Yes.
So we're just keeping puberty alive, folks. But
poop is funny.
Yeah, Shamrock comes out to another massive pop. And we talked about Sable, man. He's still really over, despite obviously some shortcomings. He's ran through the nation at this point. Then Mark Henry comes out wearing a Rocky Sucks shirt. Jim Ross asks if the Ringley brothers are missing their big top tent because Mark Henry is wearing it. Mark Henry has a 64-inch chest as the world's strongest man at this time in his life. Just a massive human being, even back then.
For sure. And like the team of him and Shamrock, like, oh my God, even for a work, like, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Outlaws are probably saying, hey, don't keep them together.
For sure. And to your point with the Shamrock being so over, that one music, we talked about that, it's good, but the intensity he brings. And we referenced another freak athlete earlier in the show. That's a dream match that I actually always wanted. Just
Shamrock and Brock.
You got it.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a lot of fun. I don't think anything like Angle and Brock, but good enough.
Certainly not, especially at that point where Ken was in his life when Brock broke into the business.
For sure. I think I even had them as a tag team in one of my video games like a long time ago.
We've been getting pop culture deliberation from the best damn Intercontinental Champion of all time. The Rock grabs his mic and says, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Cordell Stewart called The Rock and left him a voicemail asking how to become a champion. Before he could get back to him, Cordell had already called Joe Paterno. And now look, neither of them are playing for a championship. The Steelers just got eliminated from the playoffs the week prior. The Rock promises to rip that Rocky Sucks shirt right off, quote, Mark Henry's fat, ugly ass. And he tells Ken Shamrock if he's got any guts to stay in the ring with the champ. Shamrock does so, and he gets the upper hand to start on our people's champion, The Rock. After some back and forth action, Rocky gets the upper hand, tags in D'Lo. And we talked about camera angles. We get this other cool camera angle of The Rock getting off the apron. And he has to kind of tell the cameraman to move because he stayed right in his shot all the way up until The Rock getting off on the apron. It looked great, though.
Yes, and he just the crowd work playing with the sports teams and whatnot, but he says it in a way that's so smooth and fluent that it's like, Oh, boo. Okay, that was pretty good. But
Yeah,
boo.
I mean, it's like, oh yeah, we did get our ass kicked in the playoffs, so we can't really say anything. But you suck, Rock.
And I will say for Rock and Shamrock, this has been the best build match going into the
It's
Rumble.
not even close.
Like the only thing you could even compare it to is just Stone Cold. Yeah, and he's about to take out 29 other men. So, but yeah, they've done such a well job.
Tag team championship match. The other guys haven't even been on TV.
They've been feuding with somebody they're going to face in 2 months.
Yeah, you've got the championship match, which hasn't even really been addressed, other than maybe a surprise announcement at this point.
They touched once, yeah,
and they've literally only been the same vicinity of each other one time. So yeah, I'm with you.
And I don't know, but they got me hook, line, and sinker. Even with the, I think, premature heel turn that we have in this match, it's still the best thing that I think selling the tickets right now, other than Stone Cold.
I'm with you. I think they should have saved what they do here for the actual pay-per-view. But Rock gets a cheap shot in the apron and wants to tag in. He gets in. He gets this great looking shoulder breaker that when he debuted as Rocky Maivia was actually his finish, but it looks like $1 million here. And he then hits the people's elbow, and then Shamrock gets a reversal, and he ends up gets a great looking power slam of his own volition here, and gets a 2.5 count after the Rock gets up. Shamrock hits the Hurricane Rana, which has kind of been the setup for his finish here, heading down the stretch. But we just continue to get a look at how athletic he really is. But D'Lo and Kame hop up in the apron. Shamrock takes them both out. Mark Henry gets in the ring to kind of give him some backup. Shamrock locks in the ankle lock. And Mark Henry, as we just kind of alluded to, delivers a clothesline to Ken Shamrock. Not to be outdone, Mark Henry hits his best-looking power slam as well on Shamrock. Rock gets in, delivers the rock bottom, and he covers Shamrock, and Mark Henry counts it. Rock makes good on his promise from a minute ago and rips off the Rocky suck shirt off of Mark Henry, and he has a Nation of Domination shirt on underneath. They strike the fist pose and go back up the ramp after this. So Mark Henry is an official member of the Nation of Domination. But we mentioned at the beginning, not with the Nation, Farouk. He's waiting at the top of the ramp, and it was clearly not told about any of this, and he's not happy about it.
And it's with how good Shamrock Rock's been, I'm glad they keeping Farouk in the mix, because that is something that's been building and whatnot. The only thing I really had on the whole shirt rip was I didn't know Nation Domination had a T-shirt. They made it seem like it was the NWO reveal. Like,
yeah, first time I can remember it being on there, but
for sure, it's like the hand pump was good enough. Like, but it was a good angle. I just think it was just too soon.
We get a backstage interview with the new Nation backstage, and Michael Cole asked The Rock what exactly this is, and The Rock says this is the best day that the Nation. Well, the best day the Nation's ever had is when The Rock joined. But he did this for Farouk. He says, "Come on, Farouk, man, this is for you." And Michael Cole says that does it for Raw this week. The War Zone is up next, and DX and China are here. We hit the new War Zone theme music after this, but there's still that dissension in the Nation, and The Rock is like pecs flexing and doing the belt strap motion. And Farouk is the farthest person in the back of this interview as well, which I thought was really interesting.
For sure. Just plant the seeds, because, I mean, hindsight's 2020. Was that the feud that ended up like putting butts in the seats? No, but they were trying something, and like the dissension, the slow burn of a dissension is what is compelling in wrestling. So I was enjoying it. We mentioned we switched to the War Zone. We saw Sean's ass. We saw Goldust in a thong and lingerie. Yeah. And this is just Raw. We're going to the War Zone now. And who do we open up with?
Generation X, by the way. Triple H says that Owen Hart, they all come out to the ring, and he says that Owen Hart is got the big flush in the back of the DX limo. And Triple H says that Owen failed his final and tells all the sorority girls, keep in mind Penn State College, that to get a hold of Dean Helmsley because he's got the tip if you need the passing grade. The ladies in attendance are going crazy for this. And Shawn Michaels is almost like stripping throughout this entire interview too. And you can hear the females in attendance, and they are loving this.
They're not as loud as the men, but they get their shit in too when they see something they like. And I think is that when we got Sean doing the braid flip at Mike.
No, that's later in the show.
Later on the show, sorry.
The Sean grabs. It's just those three in the ring now. No Michael Cole, but Sean grabs the mic and just slowly breathes and says, "Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet." And Hunter does a really bad Mike Tyson impersonation here. I'm not even going to try to emulate what he did.
Too nasally.
But Sean says, if Mike Tyson gets involved in HBK's business, he's going to dance all over his face. And he keeps speaking of the Royal Rumble. This has nothing to do with The Undertaker. It has to do with Kane. And as he's about to start talking, Owen Hart's voice comes over the announce over the PA. He says, "Never mind about Kane and his family. I know all about family, and you three degenerates couldn't put me down with what you did." And they cut to him on the Titantron, a la what we did last week. And I was like, "Oh no, they did this again." And he's got a giant gash on his face, so we're showing that there was some damage done. He's all bloodied up for the second week in a row. Owen Hart coming across the Titantron. Hunter buries it again right away, and it doesn't even seem phased about it. And he says, "If you want to come out, we can finish the job." Keep in mind, Helms is on one leg at this point, but Owen actually comes out. I was like, "Oh, thank God they're not doing this again." I thought this helped him out tremendously.
I half there with you. I think they should have just had him attack.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it could have been better, but it was much better than what they did a week ago.
For sure. And I don't know though, the face that he's been making after these promos,
he's burying him. He's burying him.
Oh man,
he's doing the Scott Hall thing. And we've heard Big Show talk about how much that doesn't help the baby faces at this time.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes out and we get another sense of Owen's struggles on the mic, because he says, "I'm still standing and I'm ready. I'll break your other leg, you." He clearly forgets either what he was supposed to say or didn't have it queued up. As gutless bastard is what comes out of his mouth. And officials come out to break him up. Now, we just let these guys drive off in a limousine and beat this man down. But we're going to stop him from coming to the ring and doing something to get his comeuppance back?
And throwing weak-ass crutch throws.
Yeah.
I can't even mimic it. I was watching, this just, I thought it looked terrible. I didn't like the segment.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a little bit of credit because it was better than what we got last week. Because Owen Hart's a black heart, and black hearts don't feel pain. But he's going to break Triple H's leg. It was just bad. It was just bad last week. This wasn't much better.
No.
It was a little better. It wasn't much better.
No, and I mean, we even joked about it last week when Owen was a heel and he did the kick your leg out of your leg promo to Brett. But he's just such better promo as a heel. But you got to make him a face right now after Montreal. So we're doing the best we can.
You mentioned it. We got Sean mooning people out of a moonroof. We got Goldust in lingerie in the first hour. You know what we say for the second hour?
Los?
No.
No.
90-year-old Rock and Roll Express versus the DOA.
I keep jumping the gun.
Jim Cornette introduces the Rock and Roll Express after the DOA comes out. And obviously, anybody that was a wrestling savant at this time knew that the Rock and Roll Express's biggest rivalry was with Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express.
Yep.
But Hoot and Ricky come out here and they look clearly past their prime. I mean, receding hair, clearly I don't have any room to talk about hairlines, but it just felt like they were way past their expiration date. Now, Jeff Jarrett legitimately had an illness in his family, and they thought there was going to be a death in the family, which is why he's not here tonight. But Hoot Gibson and the Rock and Roll Express are here, and they look really good in the ring still. I'm not complaining about that. But from a visual standpoint of when they came out, it's clearly not the 80s anymore.
That's my fiance must be a stand-up comedian, because she came in again during this and she's like, "Are you watching an SNL skit of wrestling? Is that Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon?" I was like, no, that's a real tag team.
No, unfortunately, those 50-year-old men are actually about to wrestle.
But I think with Jeff last week, it made the storyline intriguing. This just made no sense. They brought Barry Windham in, who was an NWA guy, and Cornette turned on him. But then you got him bringing out his biggest rivals. You think maybe they'll turn on him again. Granted, they're against DOA for some reason. I don't know. None of this whole thing made sense. And
yeah, you have to wonder how much Jarrett not being available threw a wrench into the thing, but it
for sure
could have done anything else better than this. We get a clothesline over the top, and that's supposed to be a DQ in the NWA that we learned last week. Cornette gets back in the ring. It's tennis racket on 8-ball, but he gets caught doing it as opposed to last week by the official Tim White. DQs the Rock and Roll, and Skull starts standing behind James Cornette and gets caught red-handed by the DOA. The Rock and Roll jump in and start getting the upper hand, but Chains hits the ring, who apparently is the scariest man in the world to the NWA. And Jim Ross says we'll see more of these NWA guys in coming weeks, including at the Royal Rumble. But I don't know if anybody was clamoring for that after this.
Look, there's potential here, but the way it started, where, like I said, it seemed interesting, and then the goofy shit they are doing tonight, I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody, like you said, is clamoring for this. But, as, a historian in wrestling, the NWA, it is kind of cool seeing them. Just, I pop a little bit. Like, it made no sense for Jim Cornette to be with them. But I was like,
well, it's almost the exact opposite of what we're trying to do with the product, too.
Yes.
So it just seemed really counterproductive, in my opinion.
So I don't know if just Jim was bored and he got the okay to do some stuff from Vince, and I don't know. Who's this for?
We asked it a lot, and we're still talking about the DOA again. But we get the Royal Rumble tease next, and Jim Ross asked if Steve Austin will even get to the ring, let alone to the ball drawing at the end of the night to determine what order he's going to come out. And we get the reminder about Mike Tyson as well, still to come directly from the mouth of Vince McMahon. And we find out that Mankind is taking on Goldust next, which we're still teasing all three personalities of Mick Foley, despite Cactus Jack being teamed up with Chainsaw Charlie here, and already seeing Goldust earlier in the night. But we mentioned this earlier, that Jim Ross teases the Superstar hotline here, the 900 number, and it's just incredible to think about. We already kind of talked about it, but this is where it happens. Like, the fact that the possibility of Hulk Hogan jumping in 1998 to the WWF while he's right in the middle of the NWO storyline.
Oh, in hindsight's 2020, if he would have jumped, I honestly think that would have derailed Steve's.
I think the best thing that could have happened is him not doing so. And by the way, Randy Savage's contract's up in July as well.
That would have been fun, but with the rumors of the Stephanie McMahon stuff, I don't know if that would have.
Oh, what are you talking about, Mike?
No,
that didn't happen. just ask Triple H.
Innocent until proven guilty.
We come back from break, and Cactus Jack is standing barefoot at Beaver Stadium again. Just another nod to the fact that we're at Penn State, and this is a really cool visual of seeing Mick at the 50-yard line in one of the most heralded stadiums in all of college football. Mm-hmm. But we the other cool thing that we do here is we get a visual of the death matches from Japan between Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, and Mick Foley even mentions that Chainsaw Charlie is Terry Funk in this promo. But we get the actual footage of them falling off ladders and Mick Foley carrying out a barbed wire cross to the ring, and all of that, which has really never been seen before on WWE TV. So last week we get the recap of the Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood, where there's blood and guts everywhere. Now we're getting this type of footage, and it just seems like we're not to the Hardcore Championship yet, but we're letting people know this is going to get edgier and edgier and edgier. We never get to deathmatch status, but this is really rare footage at this time.
I was flabbergasted. I was like, I can't believe they're showing New Japan shit on their TV, and like they're already bringing NWA stuff in. So it's kind of like a teaser of what we're getting now of them trying to go out there and work with other companies, and also like maybe flashback to when they did that brief partnership with ECW.
Yeah,
but I thought it was cool, and I'm glad they weren't insulting everyone's intelligence and just having Mick say, "Yeah, that's Terry Funk," and
right. And Mick says that Chainsaw Charlie's Terry Funk, and if he wants to dress up in pantyhose and suspenders, to each his own.
He's earned it.
Yeah, it just basically says that they've earned each other's respect in Japan, because we're going to also lean into the fact that these two were pretty big rivals, and that's why they're able to be partners now. We come back, and Mankind is coming out of the ring, and we're waiting on Goldust. But dude loves music hits, and out comes the dude. But it's Goldust dressed as Dude Love this time. We get into this really quickly. Mick locks in the mandible claw in just a few seconds in, but the glass shatters, and here's the rattlesnake again. Stunner to Mankind, stunner to Goldust. Goldust takes a great bump out of the ring here. For the third time in almost 2 weeks, he lands on top of Luna Vachon in a pretty scary moment. But this, like, you can see how much fun Austin's having at this time in his life, because he goes over and grabs the commentator desk and says, "No more Mr. Nice Guy," till after the Rumble. He said that someone asked him at the airport the other day if Stone Cold was going to win the Royal Rumble. He said, "Oh, I'm going to give you an oh hell yeah on that one." And by the way, just give us an oh hell yeah in the comments if you're watching along with us.
Oh hell yeah! Sorry,
but he almost falls off the table after getting in Jim Ross's face about this. We're now 4 weeks removed from Stone Cold Steve Austin knocking the owner of the company off the apron. They still haven't met in the ring or face-to-face at any point since then. Vince McMahon is next, and Vince tells us Mike Tyson is a guest at the Royal Rumble. He is going to be at the show on Sunday in some capacity. Remember, Jim Ross just told us earlier in the show, if Mike Tyson shows up, somebody's going to call him out. We're doing all of this after Stone Cold Steve Austin is out and doing his shtick, but it is getting heavily teased that Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet and the toughest SOB in the WWF, are on a collision course for each other, and it's probably going to happen at WrestleMania.
Yep, and come on, who else is he squaring off against?
The DOA.
Your other top guys are DX, which I guess we can, that's something we'll see. But like, he ain't going toe to toe Taker. He's got other stuff going on. The only one you got is Stone Cold as top names at this point. So the billing's there. And by the way he said, "Oh hell yeah" tonight is how I try to mimic it every time I do it. But
it might be the best "oh hell yeah" of all time,
for sure. And I was glad that we didn't get the match because I was like, "What? This has nothing to do with the Outlaws for Foley," and we just saw Goldust earlier, so just good way to turn it around, get him out of the ring, have Stone Cold raise hell.
Yeah, we got a ton of momentum. So what do we do next? Los Barriquas versus Taka Michinoku and Scott Taylor. But Sunny comes out. She was in a schoolgirl outfit last week. She's in a cheerleader outfit here. And she says, as most cheerleaders know, I'm not wearing much under here. So she's trying to keep pace with what Sable's promoting. It's just not going as well for her now that there's another blonde bombshell in the picture.
So Alberto Del Rio was not the first one with a personal ring announcer. The Los Barriquas were with Sunny, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
This match, there's a lot of hard-hitting shit in it, but we'll get to the ending here. I got something to say about that, but like, are we already scrapping the Brian Christopher feud with?
Speaking of which, Jerry Lawler,
his commentary was very 1998. Jerry
Lawler. Jerry Lawler says, I want to make sure I'm mentioning here. This is a quote from him, not from me. Jerry Lawler says, "I'm not embarrassed to be with younger women except for when I drop them off at school." Jerry Lawler had a statutory rape issue in Memphis earlier in his life.
Mm-hmm.
King, what do you I don't know what you're trying to accomplish by making that statement. And I don't know. It just felt gross, man.
I know nobody really gave a fuck back then about,
which is a problem, by the way.
I know. But it just, maybe he was trying to poke fun at his. I'm with it. I don't got no words, can't defend it.
But we're just objectifying everybody here, because then the Barriquas come out and Savio Vega legitimately tries lifting up Sonny's skirt live on TV. 1998, folks. That's all I can really say. This match just
deportation talks about talking.
Yeah, and not learning English still. And this is the light heavyweight
your first and only.
It's the Los Barriquas still on television in 1998. And listen, here's the thing: Savio can go, and I think a lot of what they're doing at this time even thinking back to last week with this match with Owen Hart, we've seen Savio in a strap match with Steve Austin. He kind of felt like the bar, right? Like there was if we need to know if guys can go in the ring, we're gonna put him in the ring with Savio Vega, which I get. But why the hell did we need the other three guys? Like I just didn't understand. This whole match was just for us to get the reminder about Mike Tyson. We got reminded about Owen Hart being jumped by the Bariquas last week. Listen, Taka got his stuff in here. He hits that moonsault to the outside. We talk about Savio Vega. Savio caught him and hit that power slam.
Looked gnarly.
And then Jesus hits that reverse suplex that looked like $1 million on Scott Taylor. And Scott Taylor takes the pin here. But we just let the Los Bariquas beat the light heavyweight champion.
And it wasn't even Savio that got the freaking pin. It was Jesus. Whatever his name is.
Estrada. The Bariquas start to beat down Taylor, and Taka tries to get back in the ring, but Owen Hart comes out, still wielding that crutch from earlier, and cleans house. And here comes the meat and potatoes of it, because Owen lays we talked about those petty crutch shots earlier. He's laying these ones in.
Oh my God! Right across the chest and sternum, like. You saw who was it that took it? Was it Jesus or
default Los Bariquas number 3?
But the smack of it sounded like a wicked kendo stick shot, except like just broke, and you could just see the wince immediately. It's like, oh, that hurt me. But I like how they tied it back in, because I forgot for a minute. I was like, he's just randomly attacking a tag match. I was, Los Bariquas helped him. DX last week.
So if anybody that didn't watch our show last week that's just watching this episode, Los Bariquas beat down Owen Hart and drug him up to the top of the ramp so that DX could beat him down, because Triple H is on one leg here. But Sonny goes over to the commentator's booth after this, and Sister Jerry Lawler's laugh. He says, when Sonny was in school, she wasn't good at history, but was great on dates. So we're just like, King, stop.
Yes.
But Monday Night Raw is still losing the war at this point in time. And this has got a little bit to do with it, because this is at the 9:30 segment, where on the other channel, Hulk Hogan is addressing the WCW Championship on Nitro. And you start to understand, despite all this talent, that some with the DOA stuff and the Los Bariquas stuff and, fill in the blank Truth Commission crap, that the star power that WCW has is still winning the war, because they're able just to hit music and have guys go out there and talk, while the WWF is talking about underage sex jokes.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it really doesn't get better on that end, like throughout the Attitude Era. Like, you still have them here and there, but you have more intriguing storylines, and usually, and I'm actually interested to see when the tide switches, when the card top to bottom is at least must-see TV, because
it's coming real soon.
Yes.
Yeah. But DX comes back out because they didn't get the chance to address the Undertaker's family stuff that they're going to talk about a little bit ago because of the Owen Hart stuff. But we got the Twix Rewind. It's the 1995 Royal Rumble, where we get the definitive, you have to have 2 feet hit the floor, with Shawn Michaels only getting 1 foot down. And we cut to Michael Cole in the ring, and this is where Shawn is doing the whip back and forth with this twisty braids, hitting Michael Cole in the face. But Hunter starts giving Michael Cole a wet willy, and just junior high shenanigans here, but funny, innocent ones, right?
And Cole has gone on record at that time, and I mean, take a number, Cole, but absolutely hated Shawn at that time. I mean, he was such a prick.
Which, and it kind of gives you a testament that it's because of how Shawn was off camera too.
Right.
Because listen, The Rock was way worse to Michael Cole than Shawn Michaels was, and Michael Cole doesn't have a bad thing to say about The Rock.
Yeah, fair enough.
But HBK grabs the mic and gives us a little spiel, and he says he's going to introduce the newest member of DX. It's Kane, and the lights go out, but no organ plays.
Gone.
Undertaker comes out, and Cole says, Cole stays in the ring, which I thought was really weird. Like, I didn't know why we needed to interview the Undertaker with DX in the ring, but we do. And Taker tells Shawn, I would appreciate it if you left my family out of this. He said he should be more concerned about the Undertaker, and the Undertaker punching a 6-inch hole in his forehead. Now, I thought we were literally just going to do these guys are going to talk to each other thing because that's how it kind of came across at first. And I was like, what are they doing? But Taker throws a shot. He goozles Shawn around the neck and grabs him by the throat and puts him over in the corner. Before he can get Shawn up for the choke slam, Chyna gets involved. And Taker gets her up and posts her, but Hunter hits him in the back with a crutch. And then Shawn gets the super kick in, and DX gets the upper hand. But now the organ plays. Lights go out. Fire goes off. Here comes Kane. Taker was able to help Kane last week when he got surrounded by a bunch of jobbers. Kane's coming out to help The Undertaker here with the WWF champion, the hottest faction in the company at the time.
Yes, and I mentioned it earlier about Stone Cold and Sable getting the biggest pops. You could argue Kane's is on par with Austin's in
He's
this
over,
episode.
man.
Oh,
Yeah,
over
he's
like
totally
Rover.
over. And listen, these guys together are over. People want to see this as a team.
Yes,
but DX is jumping Taker, and Kane grabs Michaels by the hair because there was still that possibility. Hey, who's here to help? Like Kane never really solidified that he was with the Undertaker, and Kane grabs Shawn by his hair here, and the crowd goes nuts. Kane hits, Kane sides with the Undertaker, and he chases DX up the ramp. And I was like, did they forget Hunter's on one leg here? Because I know that Kane's supposed to be Michael Myers-esque, but he's basically right on DX's back the whole time.
Yeah, and the visual is actually really cool because you see the red light and they're trying to scurry away, and you see Kane about 5 feet from him, and you just see his like shadowed out aura of him. Yeah, and it was really effective. And you know what a tag match that might have been. DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. We talked about it earlier. We don't get that until 2018.
Could never go wrong. But Kane gets up at the top of the ramp and turns around and goes down to one knee and hits the Undertaker pose back to his brother, and Taker responds the same in the ring. How do you not have this close the show?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
This would have been the best visual to end the night of Raw that they could have possibly hoped for.
And hands down the best thing they've done in this feud
And it's the championship match, which is the Royal Rumble match doesn't even headline the pay-per-view. We're not closing out the go-home show with it.
I don't get it. And okay, Jamie, let's go to the next segment because this is a cluster.
Yeah. So the majority of the superstars that are participating in the Royal Rumble match are in the ring after we come back from break. And Nation of Domination comes out. Then Ken Shamrock, and they kind of get a little bit of a scuffle, and Shamrock sucker punches Mark Henry. The officials have to break it up. They do. The Honky Tonk Man's music hit, and we're treating this like it's a big deal. Vader comes out, him Goldust square off, and they break it up again. Cactus Jack comes out.
And then finally.
I know, but this could have been like, just do this at the top of the 9 o'clock hour.
Yes, that would have been great.
Yeah, but the glass shatters. And here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everyone goes to the front of the ropes to get a piece of Austin. Austin comes in the back way because, of course, he does. He picks up the tumbler and chucks it at Phineas Godwin, gives him a stunner, gets out of the ring. Mark Henry got thrown out of the ring because a scramble happened. He kicks Mark Henry on his way up the ramp. But The Rock comes out, and D'Lo and Savio Vega and he were hiding behind the ramp while the rest of the competitors brawled in the ring.
Yep.
I love that they waited behind the curtain, and I love that the last image we see of Stone Cold Steve Austin is him being laid out because we've teased what if somebody gets to him? He's attacked everybody. He's a marked man. Blah 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 blah. But nobody has gotten to him. We finally have 3 guys get to him here, so he is touchable. So we leave that tease that Austin can be gotten to and can have the upper hand pushed against it because he didn't drop the championship to The Rock. He handed it to him. Remember. So we haven't really seen a vulnerable side of Steve Austin, which we see here. It just could have been done in a better time. We could have finished the night with the Undertaker stuff.
Yeah,
but I do love that they did this.
The weird thing, though, is like they took Austin back, then they hit his music again, and then it was just him getting beat up more. Like,
yeah, they clearly mistimed this, and we talked about, and that's the other reason why we talked about this possibly being rushed.
Yes.
Like they clearly went through the curtain way too early because they come back out and the last image we're supposed to get is Austin laying and they forgot to do it.
Yeah.
They hit the title sequence with Stone Cold laying on the ramp and being kicked. So that's clearly the image that they wanted.
And
And
to
they
your
screwed
point,
it up.
though, it is the having Rock be like mainly the guy that's
Yep.
kicking him down was smart because he's essentially your top, probably your third, fourth highest feud at the time or heel at the time behind DX and maybe Kane.
Yeah.
But I'd put him at
be
3
second.
for sure. And it's actually
Because
kind of
Kane's kind of technically a babyface right now. Side with
right.
the Undertaker.
Right. That's what even what we get to, I would still say Rock's probably 3 behind DX.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up the show for the night. It's the go-home show before the Royal Rumble. We just want to remind you that August 6th, Mike Sweeney is going to shave his head. If we get to 150 subscribers on YouTube, so please go like and subscribe. Give us an oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Down in the comments as well tonight. Let's go ahead and grade the show tonight, Mike. I know you're going to be a little bit lower on the totem pole than I am, so I'll let you start us off.
What do we before we signed on, Jimmy? I really thought I was going D+, but the way we talked about it,
D+
more.
Okay.
It really wasn't that bad, but just some of the messiness in it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm doing a repeat. C-.
C-. Yeah, listen, I promised you that as long as the Truth Commission, the DOA, and the Barricos are on a show, I'm not giving it a. I'm going a little higher than you. I'm going to give it a B- myself. I love the Taker Kane moment. I like that we kept the tease of DX and Owen Hart going, even though it didn't really deliver. I love that we leave Stone Cold Steve Austin laying here. It wasn't necessarily the best go home show, and even if those 3 factions were on the show, I wouldn't have given it an A. But we did enough here with the Mark Henry turn. We're putting important storytelling into Raw, and I think that's important here as well. Some of the stuff's got to weed itself out, and it eventually does. But I'm gonna go B- here. But
the Rock and Roll Express stuff and
hey, don't talk about legends like that.
the Barricos and Goldust and a thong kind of drug me down a bit.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think I pointed this out. Goldust and the thong, Jerry Lawler. Oh no, this is during the Royal Rumble says I couldn't really tell if it was Sable or not. King, I don't think that's an admission you want to make. But we got to get to it. It's the news of, I want to say the week, but maybe of the year, especially in the professional wrestling circle.
For sure.
The immortal Hulk Hogan has passed. Terry Bollea has lost his life, but Hulk Hogan obviously will live forever in the heart of wrestling fans. And I think I mentioned this in our 3rd episode. I can't even tell you how many times I rented WrestleMania 6. It's probably my favorite old school WrestleMania, the matchup between Hogan and Warrior, and obviously that all stemmed from them teasing that feud during the Royal Rumble, which we're covering now. But obviously, whatever your political beliefs are, and clearly Hulk was very derogatory towards a group of people, and for anybody that don't want to respect or honor Terry Bollea for that reason, you can't really discredit what he's been able to do in his professional life as Hulk Hogan. I think you could separate the character from the man, and clearly one of the biggest icons in the history of this business, and has so many memorable moments, whether it's the NWO heel turn, whether it's coming back in the red and yellow, where it's The Rock at WrestleMania 18, whatever it is. There's just so pressing the giant. Yeah, thank you. I mean, there's so many moments that we could do a whole episode on the career of Hulk Hogan, but unfortunately lost his battle with his heart complications, and was fortunate enough to be able to be surrounded by his family after leaving a hospice care, and be surrounded by the people he loves after losing his life.
For sure. And like I said, you can't discredit what he had done in the last 10, 15 years that made him like kind of blacklisted in a lot of people's minds. But
Sure.
On the other coin, you can't discredit what he did for the business. If it wasn't for him, I don't think
we're not doing this podcast. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's so many big moments, and I think it's important, especially to talk about it in this time frame, because we don't have the Attitude Era if it wasn't for Hogan either.
Yeah, for the heel turn. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I have never really been a big fan of his. I was a Sting guy when I started, and that's who he was feuding with. When I got to be a Shawn guy,
yeah,
I could had a feud with Shawn, and then read a little bit about the backstage politicking, which wasn't fun, but
Well, have you heard that Sean's discredited that?
Yeah,
Sean actually came out and discredited that there was ever supposed to be more than one match, and was like, all he said, a wrestling fan is somebody that's easy to trick, and all I had to do was give you guys a little bit of that taste of Shawn Michaels from 1997, and everybody believed I was just back to my old ways. Whether that's true or not, and I don't know why Sean would go to bat for Hulk, but
I mean, the overselling in that match though was still legendary.
So good.
But
what's your favorite Hulk Hogan moment of all time?
So I'm with you on the Warrior match. I think it's either between that or his match with Rock at Mania 18 as his best matches. Hogan is not your Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels in the ring.
Not putting on a 5-star match, no.
But he's smart. Didn't need to.
Yeah.
He had the crowd in the palm
of his hand. It was the gimmick, brother.
And you can't pick two other. I don't think louder matches than the one with Warrior and the one with The Rock.
There's an entire TikTok channel dedicated to Rock versus Hogan moments at WrestleMania 18 without the commentary.
Oh,
that's all you need. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. It was just that good that you didn't need anybody telling you what was happening. The crowd tells you everything.
And obviously,
obviously those two guys were so good at listening to the crowd that you didn't need it anyway.
I misheard. I thought you were thinking like just mute it. Like if you take the crowd away.
Oh no. Yeah, they took the commentary away from it.
Sure.
It's fantastic.
The crowd. That's all you needed, and they called the turn on the fly. It's like all right, let's have Hogan work, baby. And his feud with Macho Man, like that was like really the first storyline really that we've ever had. Like
it was the Mega Powers, man. There's so many great Hulk Hogan moments that I don't know if I necessarily have him on my Mount Rushmore, just because I became a wrestling fan at the start of Monday Night Raw when Raw started. Like I can still remember, I think I was 3 or 4 years old. Like one of my very first memories. I can tell you the color of the chair I was sitting on the first time I saw pro wrestling. Man, I instantly fell in love with it. But Hogan was very much out of the picture at that time, and I was a Bret Hart guy, and I didn't really have the appreciation until I got to go to Blockbuster and get those VHSs to see what Hulkamania really was. So I for that reason, I don't necessarily have him on my Mount Rushmore. But clearly, it deserves to be on the top 1, 2, 3 most important guys in the history of this business.
Absolutely. It's like if you do a Mount Rushmore of like not your personal taste, but just the overall grand scheme of the business.
Oh,
you
yeah,
got to do.
He's definitely on it.
You got to do Hogan, Austin, and then maybe some debates with Flair, Undertaker, Rock, Cena.
Yeah,
but
I think Hogan and Austin are the top 2 guys just because of how pivotal they are in the wrestling business from a standpoint.
Absolutely.
WrestleMania doesn't have the success it has without Hulk Hogan.
Right.
The Attitude Era isn't as successful as it is without Steve Austin. And now maybe The Rock hits stardom faster, and there's a different discussion because clearly he's able to do that.
Right.
But I think a lot of the reason it was successful as it was is you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, you have the incumbent in The Rock, and they were able to fight off each other as much as they did. You just mentioned Hogan and Savage. Probably a lot of the reason the WrestleMania area worked as well as it did as well.
Right. Oh shit! My favorite moment, because we're in the year it happens right now. Goldberg, Atlanta,
in the Georgia Dome. Yeah.
Oh,
Speaking of crowds.
Oh my God! Like
that was as electric as it gets.
When Goldberg gets him up, everyone stands with it. That's a hell of a visual.
I think a lot of people probably had the indication, but wrestling is infamous for screwing people over in their hometown.
Right. And that was all Hogan.
Could you imagine if Hulk Hogan beats the streak in Atlanta?
That's like a heel turn on a heel turn.
Yeah. They might not have got out of Atlanta, Georgia alive.
But you said it, all the best to his family and friends. It broke my heart seeing Jimmy Hart on stage on Monday, or Friday. But
yeah, and I think we got to touch on a little bit too. Like, unfortunately, however you want to phrase it, the last time that we saw Hulk Hogan on WWF television, he's getting booed out of the building in LA at the Staples Center. Listen, you bought a ticket, you're entitled to react the way you want. You're entitled to have your opinions about people. And as we mentioned, Hulk did enough in his life to get that reaction.
For sure.
But it just sucks for the wrestling fans and all of us that that's going to be the lasting image, the last lasting image that we get of Hulk Hogan on WWE TV.
I mean, we'll never know, but like if everyone in that arena knew that was his last time, then maybe it would have been different. But you
Some
can't
people don't. Some people don't care, and that's your prerogative. That's how you feel. Boo away.
But did a hell of a lot for the business. Again,
Yep.
we wouldn't be here. I don't think
Absolutely.
any of the companies would be here. So,
well, that's going to wrap it up for us here on Analyzing Attitude. The next time you see us, we will be live on your YouTube screen for the Royal Rumble rewatch again, and we're going to kick it off August 6th at 8:30 p.m. Standard Central Time. And again, we're going to watch the whole pay-per-view. It's not just the match, so hopefully you come along with us the entire time. Watch along on Peacock with us. Mike, I mentioned I already watched the Rumble in anticipation for this. It's crazy. We're 1 year away from No Chance in Hell in next year's room. This next year of doing this podcast is going to be a ton of fun.
For sure. And it's going to be like, I think completely different. We're just touching on what we're about to get into in the next year. So,
Absolutely.
it's you might see a haircut on August 6th. That's up to you guys. So throw out those subscriptions. 150 is the number.
Tell everybody subscribe to Analyzing Attitude. For Jimmy Allen, that's the Dr. Mike Sweeney. We appreciate you. Give us a like and subscribe, and oh hell yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Down in the comments, we'll see you for the Rumble. Thanks for watching.